Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast. I'm your host, Josh. As always, joining me is Ruan Wrestling,
Hi guys.
and he's back, Stu World Order.
I have returned.
We are here with a more like relaxed kind of discussion. These kind of discussion podcasts are more like laid back, and we just joke around. The last one we did was the John Cena's last opponent, who that could be. And yeah, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. It's absolutely hilarious. The people we threw out for his last opponent. But yeah, we are here with the potential greatest storylines in professional wrestling. So we all have storylines that we've written down, and we're gonna go over what we think could be the greatest story told in pro wrestling. Before we get into that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Follow on Spotify if you're not already. If you want to help out with the monetary side of things, go check out the Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I'm also going to be doing movie and TV show reviews over there as well. So go ahead and check that out. Go check out Ruin Wrestling on TikTok and go check out Stu World Order on TikTok and his Instagram and YouTube. They've got some great content over there. But yeah, we're gonna get straight into this. So I guess I could go first. And
That's good.
so I have a few
Yeah.
here, and I'm going to start off with one, and this may be a bit of a wild card to start off with, but it's somewhat recent, and it popped up in my head because one of the guys in this feud said that this could be one of the greatest stories told in professional wrestling, and that is MJF and CM Punk. So I went with MJF and CM Punk because this was, I want to say, the peak of AEW when things really got interesting because these two did not let up in these segments. Not to mention the matches were pretty solid too that they had, and just going back and forth with these two is like I still sometimes go back on their promos, and the fact that they just let these guys talk for as long as they wanted to talk just goes to show that the confidence that they had in these two just to be able to carry like half an hour of the show just on the microphone. Um yeah, I really enjoyed MJF and CM Punk, and I think that definitely when it's all said and done, you could really look back at this as one of the best feuds.
Do you want
Well, I'm sad because, it's going to be very, very quick for me
to?
because this literally happened just before I started watching AEW. So for me, this is still a dream feud that one day I would like to happen. So, Rue, this is all you, brother.
No, I was laughing because I knew that's what you were about to say. But no, but I'll stand by Josh and yeah, I think she definitely, if we're looking at it from a strictly AEW point of view, is easily one of the best in AEW. Remind me, Josh, was this the one where they had the dog collar match? This
Yes,
feud?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, really good match. Yeah, absolutely. The two guys, like MGF alone, is incredible. We could talk about how amazing he is on one singular podcast. But yeah, mixed with CM Punk, the guys had great chemistry. The back and forth on the mic was incredible. Fantastic matches. And as it's something I'd love to see down the line. I don't think we will, especially before Punk retires, because I think MGS locked into AEW for quite a while longer. But yeah, this is definitely up there. I will also say I've just gone for WWE as well, so I would definitely say it's up there as well. If you want to look at it from a strictly AEW point of view, it's definitely one of the best feuds of all time in AEW.
for sure.
I can absolutely imagine it was fireworks.
Oh, definitely. And as Josh said as well, this was like peak AEW as well. When was it around 2023-ish, 2022 maybe?
I think
I
22,
can't
21 around there.
2020 around there, yeah. And that was when WWE was just starting to get better, but it was still in its kind of a bit of a slump. So
Yeah.
AEW was outclassing it every time, and this was one of the reasons as to why.
Stu, you want to go next?
See, I'm going to go really, really obvious. I'm going for the greatest feud of the 90s and early 2000s, really. The feud that transcended wrestling and made it enormous, launched one of the biggest stars of all time in wrestling. I've got to go for Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. I have to. You
Mm,
can't have the greatest storylines without saying that.
Absolutely. It,
And if you even think about it, so just take those two away from it. The stars that were included in this years long feud, you incorporated Mankind or Mick Foley, you incorporated The Rock into it, you incorporated Triple H into it. I think DX were involved at some point. It was still a thing during the invasion angles. They are one of the only things that was mildly entertaining about the invasion angle. It was just it tapped in to, I think, the frustrations of the working man
yeah.
with so much brilliance, played so brilliantly. Vince McMahon, for all his flaws, is one of the greatest heels of all time.
Oh yeah.
And if you also think we hadn't really seen a tweener before Stone Cold Steve Austin, he
Yeah.
dropped the 316 promo and was the first guy, basically, I kind of think, to say, I don't give a shit if you're babyface, if you're a heel, I'm coming for everyone. And he stunned pretty much everybody in the company over like a month's period. And you always knew eventually he was going to get to the boss. And he did it. I think the Montreal Screwjob helped because it gave Vince McMahon a character.
Yep.
And we were all ready to hate him. And fortunately, Stone Cold Steve Austin came along and gave us a really good excuse to hate Vince McMahon. And both of them were just made for each other. It was a very strange thing that one of the greatest feuds of all time was with a non-wrestler, a kind of non-wrestler, if that makes sense. But it launched WWE into a different stratosphere. The Hulk Hogan thing had happened. They'd gone into that horrendous slump post Hulkamania. And then they just ignited with Attitude Era and Stone Cold Steve Austin on top of that. And it will never happen again. A feud like that will go on for so long, I don't think, with an authority. How many times have we tried to do the authority thing since then? It'll never be as good
Yep.
as that first time.
you can take this one.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I was gonna. Oh, you want me? Yeah, sure. I was gonna say. Yeah. It's funny you said, oh, it could be the obvious one, and I always say obvious is never. It doesn't mean bad or wrong in this case. It could all be the correct answer. Um, I'll caveat mine by saying I did think about going for a lot of these feuds around this era, but I thought that would be a bit unjust of me because I didn't grow up watching these feuds. It was before my time. So I thought, and now obviously we all know that, and I'm sure it might get thrown out there. You've also got Rock and Austin. This was before mine. Well, most I can go back and watch these, and I love them for what they are. I've tried to be fair and just give um storylines and feuds in the time that I've watching professional wrestling. But out with that time, you are 100% correct. There's been nothing like it since. I said from the Montreal Screwjob. Before that, Vince McMahon was just Vince McMahon. And since then, we got Vince McMahon the character, which as we know, he slightly blurs the lines on what was the character and what's not. We won't get into that, but he's one of the greatest characters and greatest heel characters in wrestling. And I said he's paired up. It was just one of his stars or line moments where he was paired up with one of the greatest, not just straight up baby faces, as you said, tweeners, and just greatest wrestlers in the industry at the time, in Steve Austin. And I could already easily say that if we want an outright winner to this, not that I don't know if we're going to do that or not, this would be up there for me
100%.
easily.
I do like you've made me feel really old there. Thank you very much, Rue.
I was thinking I would say that. I was like, I do apologize. but I thought it would be unjust to me. But like I could say Hogan and Andre, but I've never seen that. I grew up watching
Oh
it, so
God, the Hogan and Andre one. It was just Hogan can body slam Andre.
I don't know.
Uh,
It's like I've only gone back to watch it.
Which, by the way, lots of people body slammed Andre. It's like they just
Oh
denied
yeah,
everything was happening.
Hogan himself had already done it. Like,
I think James Ellsworth had body slammed Andre before Hogan did.
uh, so with Austin and McMahon, yeah, this was one that I had on my list as well, and I don't think that there's ever going to be a storyline like this ever again in wrestling because
No.
everybody knows that Vince McMahon is not the greatest professional wrestler. Um, but he has a great mind for professional wrestling, despite your feelings about him. And like, obviously, he's not the greatest person. He's a piece of shit for the most part. But um, I don't think there's ever going to be a story where WWE can tell so well, where one guy's obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin can perform in the ring, can do everything, and Vince McMahon, who just let his character take over this story and abuse that power, and we kind of saw it with the whole like authority gimmick in like 2014, but that was Triple H
Yeah.
can wrestle, and it just didn't go up to par with Austin and McMahon. Yeah, this is a feud that, like you said, Stu, is revolutionary in professional wrestling and one that nobody will ever forget, and a rivalry that people still talk about to this day.
It was the longevity of it as well. It
Yeah.
went on, but I don't think it ever truly had a blow off moment where like that was it, that's put to bed now. It just kept going, and it was always entertaining when it did. And I mean, I forgot to mention Mike Tyson involved in it as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was just epic. It was as they say nowadays, the young kids say, it was cinema.
It was
Uh,
though. Like we don't get what we've got now without
Definitely
it.
not.
Like a lot of it's transcended wrestling, as you said, and new celebrity involvement. It's just it's amazing.
you can go ahead, Ru.
I'll just continue on. Right. So mine, I think as well. When I brought up this wee list in my head, I also had another thought about it whilst on the discussion of Vince McMahon, in that a lot of these feuds or storylines that I thought about that were amazing have horrendously bad payouts to them, which is great. But the one I'm going to go with is the 2009 storyline between Randy Orton and Triple H.
Mm.
This was one of my childhood like core memories of wrestling. I'd been around for a couple of years at this point, and I was still in that era of obviously you don't know what's real and what's not. I knew wrestling wasn't 100% real at that point. I wasn't a complete novice, but I still didn't know to the extent. And watching Triple H and Randy Orton, who at the time, and I've said it before, and with many other videos, Randy Orton was one of my guys. I was always a Orton over Cena guy. But oh
Oh,
09, oh I know, Orton, oh 09 Orton is an absolute menace to society and is one of the greatest heels in wrestling. And this whole storyline just proved it from him punting and kissing Stephanie, punting McMahon, everything about it I loved. Apart from the WrestleMania match, we don't talk about that. Forget it. But as a storyline, this like they had the whole house invasion, and that's why I was talking about like as a kid, not knowing what was real and fake. I was sat there being, holy shit, this guy's actually invaded Triple H's house and he's throwing him through his window. And at the time, as a kid, I thought this was the coolest thing on TV.
Yeah. Go
you
ahead, Stu.
remember, wasn't it more exciting when you didn't know? Oh, sorry, mate. And wasn't it more exciting back in the day when you were like younger and you didn't
Oh yeah,
quite know what was real and what was not?
absolutely. That's what made wrestling. Like even as I said, like I've said it before, like my girlfriend, she knows wrestling through me, but doesn't like she's not an avid watcher of it. And trying to explain to her like when we watch stuff, particularly if you watch like certain death match stuff or whatever, you can look at it and you can say, okay, so that thing that he's been dragged through, that glass or whatever, probably gimmicked. It's probably sugar glass, but you need to train yourself and have the imagination to not think that is. And you watch that and you go, holy shit, that guy's been dragged through glass. So being able to hold on to that, I generally think it's a skill of like an imaginative like skill to be able to have as a I don't know, which as a child it wasn't a skill. That was just being a child and not knowing
Yeah.
made wrestling beautiful.
Yeah, that's it. Me and my wife often shout at the telly, but that's it. He's dead. He's dead now. He's
Exactly.
dead. Randy Orton was insane back then. This
Yep.
was like proper shaved head Randy Orton, wasn't it? Like
hmm hmm
just full on predator. He was he was incredible.
So dodgy out of
Yeah,
context.
we don't talk about the
No,
WrestleMania
we
match,
don't.
but it was epic, and it was such a shame it didn't have that payout at the end.
No.
But it was pretty damn great, and I don't think they've gone that far in storylines for quite a while. Um,
I mean the whole
as much as they did with that one. Do you know what I mean? We hadn't had home invasions for quite a bit before that. So it was nice to see the real personal blood feud back again for a while.
yeah.
I think 2009 Randy Orton will probably go down, if not already, one of the most sadistic characters that professional wrestling has ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And because the the shit that he did, I mean, tying Triple H up and kissing Stephanie McMahon, I mean
It's
that
the guys of
that's
it.
insane.
It's
Because like,
it's funny actually.
yeah, go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say sorry, it's funny actually. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't watch a podcast or anything like that. I've just seen the clip on TikTok. Randy Orton was recently on Stephanie McMahon's podcast,
Yeah.
and they spoke.
Awkward.
They spoke about this moment, and Randy looks so awkward. He's like, "Oh man, I hated it." He's just he's like, "I hated it so much."
I'm gonna get
Yeah,
fired.
he sat. He's like, "Oh my god, I literally need to kiss the boss's and daughter and Triple H's wife." He was like, "What the like?"
Yeah, apparently Triple H was fine with it though.
Yep.
If it were me, he would have been getting a huge receipt, a storyline or not. But yeah, no, an
Got a
absolutely
pedigree on Triple
great
H.
feud.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Orton and Triple H are two guys who are so good at telling a story with whoever they're in the ring with, and when they're in there with each other, they just tell an amazing story, especially that 2009 story. It's one of the best for sure. Um,
Agreed. It was nice to see somebody really dominate Triple H as well for a while.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, because that was the prime, well, not prime Triple H era, but still on top, up
Yeah.
there. So yeah, no, absolutely. It's so funny to look back at it, and I've said it before, we laugh about it, but man, what could have been if they'd booked the WrestleMania match correctly?
Oh, street fight.
Oh, something. Yeah, I know. I won't get into it, but yeah, that was a major disappointment.
we talked about longevity of rivalries and feuds. How about one that went for about 13 years, and that's Kane versus The Undertaker? One that
Ooh,
started in
Ooh.
1997. Um, and obviously I was not alive during this, but I've done my research.
I hate you
So
people. I hate you people.
um,
At least I
so
was born in the 90s, unlike Josh. Like, I'm 98. At least I was born in the 90s.
yeah,
I was
I was
17.
I was born long after this. Um, but obviously this like that started with the Hell in a Cell match between Taker and I believe it was Shawn Michaels. Um, and Kane, made his debut. One of the best debuts in wrestling history, in my opinion. Um, I think it
Oh,
was a
yeah.
whole thing where um Paul Bearer turned on Undertaker and pretty much said that he Undertaker has a brother that's alive, in which Undertaker thought he was dead. And obviously, if you think of it like logically, it's pretty stupid, but the way that they told the story was amazing. And I'm sorry if there's any kids watching this that still think that the Undertaker and Kane are brothers. Um, I just ruined that for you, but
What?
that yeah, an absolutely amazing feud. And this feud didn't end or really wrap up until like 2010. And these two just had great chemistry with each other. I mean, they're brothers. So yeah, there's not much else to say about that. And yeah, just overall great from both of them.
Oh yeah. Do you want to go, Stu? Let you go.
Okay, there was nothing about this feud that should have worked. It was
Yeah.
stupid. It was supernatural stuff, which I have a really like big hatred for supernatural stuff in wrestling. I
Me too.
can't stand it. I like my wrestling. This is going to sound ridiculous. I like it at least slightly based in reality. Supernatural stuff to me, oh, can't stand it. However, as a 17-year-old man, when this happened, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I do, and it went on for so long, and it never got stale. To me, anyway, it never ever got stale. These two were just like it was. No matter what they were doing in the WWE throughout that time, you knew they would always come back around to each other, and you expected it, and you liked it when it happened as well. It was as you said, just the chemistry between the two of them, the sizes of them, the athleticism of both of them as well for men their size. It just and also they were so invested, both of them, in their characters, in their gimmicks. It was perfect storytelling from two very, very, very good wrestlers. And oh yes, he never hurt the situation either, did he?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I don't know if there's even much I can even add to it. You're totally right. It's something that shouldn't have worked, but just did somehow. And I think that comes down to Taker, Kane, and yeah, as you say, you've mentioned Paul Bearer as well. All of them knocked out of the park. Kane was one of those guys, early Kane, like Mask Kane as a child. I was terrified of him.
Yeah,
I found him so cool. What's quite funny is when I was first started watching wrestling. It was during the era of the American Badass Undertaker, so I didn't know about this spooky Undertaker that what today is like when you think of Undertaker, you think of
yeah,
Undertaker. I didn't know this was a thing when I first started watching because it was the American Badass to me. Whereas Kane was still Kane at that point, and at the beginning, I am now as an adult, I've grown up a bit, and Taker is leagues above for me now. But growing up, I preferred Kane when I first was
wow,
watching wrestling, and I know, this is a controversial opinion. It's changed now. I think authority Kane kind of ruined it a bit for me.
fair play.
Um, yeah, so but yeah, back then I adored them, and the two of them. Whenever you got to see the two of them together, was just. I mean, I think part of it comes down to the sheer size, like you said, the sheer size of the two of them, and it's just watching a ring. It's literally that whole bigger than life characters, and seeing the two of them together is what you just it instantly invested me. The kid, I loved it both. I loved them both. Sorry, and yeah, I mean, it easily go down as one of Undertaker's greatest rivalries. As dumb as it is, it does.
Definitely his greatest rival.
Oh,
Go ahead, Stu.
Okay, well, we're going back again, children. Going back in time to when Stu was a boy. Um, for me, this was probably the first one for me that really blurred lines. As in, I didn't know if this was real or not, and now years later, we find out, yeah, it kind of was. But I'm going to go for Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart rivalry from the 90s because it was so perfectly done. We were really transitioning eras at the time. So you had Bret Hart, who was the babyface champion. He was all about professional wrestling. That's literally what the guy was. He was the best wrestler, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And I completely agree with that. Wrestling standpoint, he was. He was quite a kind of robotic character. He wasn't brilliant on the mic, but everybody loved him because he was just so damn good. And then you had the Shawn Michaels character, who was everything Bret Hart wasn't. He was entertaining, he was brash, he was egotistical, and he was just so colorful. I found out his character was meant to be like a gigolo or a male escort. That was kind of what it was meant to be. But
Okay.
the promos between the two, when it started getting personal, they kind of go down in legend now with the sunny days comment and such like. Um, and again, this was longevity between these two. This was a rivalry that spanned quite a few years, but sort of on and off, but it did. And it led to one of the most infamous moments in wrestling history, which is obviously the Montreal Screwjob, which we don't need to go into because everybody knows about it. But yeah, for me, that was just two absolute opposites of wrestling coming together and not really liking each other, and it showed on the television, and it was just riveting TV.
Okay, do you want to go, Josh, for this one?
Yeah, sure. Why? Because I'm Canadian? No, I'm joking.
Oh, you're gonna hate what I'm gonna say. I
um,
joke.
yeah, no. Obviously a very great story. And like you said, Stu, part of it wasn't a story. Um, and this is going to be, or already is, one of the most talked about stories in professional wrestling history. I mean, like, to this day, I when I go to like family reunions and stuff like that, and they all know that I watch wrestling, and at least once somebody will come up to me and be like, "Hey, remember the Montreal screw job?" No, I wasn't alive for it, but yeah, I know about it. Um, and then we'll start talking about the Montreal screw job and everything about it. And I I really have not said on how I feel about the Montreal screw job because obviously I'm Canadian, but I love Shawn Michaels, and I've always liked Shawn Michaels a little more than Bret Hart. Um, I just don't. I don't think that the Montreal screw job should have happened. I think that was a real piece of shit move, and they did Bret
Mm-hmm.
Hart very wrong. And and I'm saying that because there's a lot of people who disagree with me. A lot of people think that Shawn Michaels deserved it and Bret Hart deserved to get screwed over. Um, I'm not one of those people. I like Bret Hart, despite me liking Shawn a little bit more. Um, at the end of the day, though,
Are you allowed back in Canada after saying that now?
at the end of
Barred
the
from the
day,
family
though,
dinners.
we were talking about the other day about Goldberg and people complaining. Bret Hart is a complainer, and he does complain a lot, and he's pretty famous for it. So I am not entirely surprised that this happened. I'm not entirely surprised that they did this to Bret because of his mouth getting him in trouble. It's wrestling at the end of the day. If if the booker, promoter, whatever it is, tells you that you're not going over, it's wrestling. It is what it is. Deal with it, move on, and recover from it.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's I feel not as bad in saying what I'm about to say now after hearing that. No. So growing up, and here we go, I hated Bret Hart. I could not stand the guy. And this was because, and like part of it is the bias of the era I came into it. Obviously, Bret had fully retired by the time I came in, and I started watching just as Shawn was coming back. And I adored Shawn Michaels. I absolutely loved that guy. So in my eyes, Shawn had never done anything wrong. And I heard all the stuff about Bret, and I just thought he was a whiny little bitch. And I was like, no.
Well, he
Now,
might be.
maybe. Now, as an adult, going back, and since coming back to wrestling in 2016, getting the network and actually being able to go back and watch it and actually be able to go back and have appreciation for Bret Hart. I am still a Shawn Michaels guy over Bret, but it's a hell of a lot closer. I can totally appreciate as Bret always likes to remind folk, the art of professional wrestling that he does. It is art in the ring. And I can understand. And after going back and watching the Screwjob, sorry, yeah, I am 50-50. Well, not 50-50 on it. I'm 100% that it was bullshit. But as Josh said, I can totally see the other points of view as well. Um, but yeah, to actually go into the rivalry itself, I mean, this is one, as you said, Stuart, some of the best rivalries are developed or formed in a bit of reality. And these guys freaking hated each other. They did
Yeah.
more than that. They despised each other. Like Bret, I'm pretty sure if he could have set out, ironically, a hitman, he would have killed Shawn if he could. Um,
Some kind of
and that,
sharpshooter, you mean?
oh, well, I can't say anything else now. But yeah, exactly. It's one of the greatest rivalries in wrestling because of that, and as we spoke about, also led to the screw job, which is one of the most infamous moments in wrestling. Anyone who's at least around that era knew a little bit about wrestling. They know about the screw job. Um, and it completely, and again, we actually spoke about it beforehand with your exact other pick was without Bret and Shawn in the screw job, do we get Vince and Austin? It's
We don't.
exactly. It was really the Screwjob that started that Vince McMahon character. But yeah, easily one of the greatest rivalries to just I was going to say of just that era, just of all time. It's cute to see them interacting now and being all happy and friendly.
But are they though?
Maybe not.
But
Maybe
are
not.
they though? I have to preface it with the fact that Bret the Hitman Hart was my first hero in wrestling. So
Understandable.
yeah, so it took me a long time to like Shawn Michaels. I do now. I
Yeah.
love him now. I think he was one of the most incredible wrestlers of all time. But at the time, I was so firmly ensconced in my Bret the Hitman Hart pink corner. Just couldn't abide
Oh
Shawn
yeah.
Michaels. But
Well,
yeah,
before we
WWE did
continue,
very, very well.
I do have to create another meeting before we kicked out of this one. So I will be right
Cool.
back.
Cool. See you in a bit.
All right, we are back. So yeah, that is the Montreal Screwjob storyline. So Rue, you're up next.
Yeah. So I'm going to go for one that's fairly modern, at least in the last 6 years anyway. And that is it wouldn't last for too long. And as I pointed out before with the Orton and Triple H one, it doesn't have a great ending to it. But that is Kofi Mania that I'm going to go
Oh
for.
yes.
Now, the reason I've gone for this over maybe some of the other classic ones is because coming back into wrestling in 2016, this was the first time. Now, I had very heavy emotions beforehand, and before this monumental moment, watching wrestling. Watching the Hardys return at 33. I remember, and I don't even mind saying it. I remember literally tears coming out my eyes watching the blow off for Gargano and Ciampa on NXT. That no holds barred street fight that they had. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But Kofi Mania made me feel a complete sensation I had never felt before. I think in my years of watching wrestling and watching it specifically happen live in front of my eyes. So as I said, I came back to wrestling in 2016. I left in about 2010. So to me, Kofi Mania was my Daniel Bryan yes moment, sorry, moment because I didn't get to see that live and happen in front of my eyes. Can go back and watch it and respect it for what it is. I didn't get to see it. Kofi Mania, just everything around it was incredible. Firstly, a shout out to Daniel Bryan. He's what that like you elf loving environmentalist of Daniel Bryan is such a good and underrated character. Like,
Really.
everyone hates him for technically being the good guy, but he's such an asshole. Um, he's such a good character. So shout out to him because as you said with like Austin and McMahon, you need the perfect heel to have the perfect baby face. So shout out to Daniel Bryan. But yeah, the whole story of everything, how Kofi wasn't even a a factor in anything. Obviously, he was currently in the New Day at the time, alongside Big E and Xavier. He wasn't meant to be in the Elimination Chamber. That was a spot for Mustafa Ali at the time. Mustafa got injured, and then Kofi stepped in. And I remember just that ending segment when obviously Daniel Bryan was in the chamber time, and it came down to Kofi and Bryan, and just this switch went on in my head, and I think many other people around the world who went, "Holy shit, I want Kofi to do this." And he came so close. And in the whole storyline from there, and I don't like giving this guy shout outs, but we spoke about it before, and we have to sometimes acknowledge him. Even Vince McMahon played such a good part in this story of his whole thing of trying to keep Kofi down and making him go through countless gauntlet matches. And then specifically the one I remember just popping and marking out so hard for it was the tag team gauntlet match that Xavier and Big E had to go through.
Yeah.
And if they won, obviously Kofi got to go on to Mania. And it's the bit specifically where they're on their last legs, and then the Usos come out. Obviously, at the time, heel Usos. I think I was going to say arguably. I don't even think it's arguable. I think it's just straight facts. The New Day's greatest rivals, hands
Oh
down.
yeah, definitely.
Um, oh, absolutely. They came out, and just the sheer respect that they had for the New Day, even as the heels, and the respect they had for Kofi, uh, and just forfeited the match to get at least to put Xavier and was through to the final. Was that moment just lives on in history, and then it just all concluded at WrestleMania. One of firstly a very good match as well. It wasn't like that was it. It was a very good
Yeah, it
match.
was.
But that moment, like I think secretly everyone knew Kofi was going to do it. I think we knew. But just having the simple things like having the camera backstage to record the moment had all the superstars cheering for Kofi. And as I said, we all knew, but you also never know in wrestling. And Daniel Ryan hit a few running knees that got me, but eventually when Kofi hit that Trouble in Paradise, and the I don't even know how to explain it, but just the reaction that just not just me, but so many other people around the world gave. Like I think it's felt so empowering, sorry, like watching the likes of MVP and Titus O'Neil and all that all around the ring on the backstage, just crying their eyes out for Kofi. Um, Someone who represents so much for so
Yeah.
many little boys and girls out there. It was an incredible moment. Once again, we don't talk about what happened with Brock. Let's just ignore that.
God's sake. They do have to ruin stuff, didn't they?
They're very good at it. That's what I would say. Particularly anything written by Vince McMahon. He seems to be really good at writing the stories, but finishing them, he's awful.
Like Stephen King.
Hell, yeah, actually, yeah, Vince McMahon is Stephen King now. But yeah, Kofi Mania, at least for the modern era, is one of the best and just most incredible moments that I've ever watched.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And like just you talking about it gave me goosebumps all over again when I remembered as soon as he won, his kids came in the ring, and I'm like, man, he probably
Yep.
just feels on top of the world right now. Like he has Big E,
Oh yeah.
Xavier there, his family there, and one of the most emotional wins in pro wrestling. And that is like 2019 obviously wasn't the greatest year for professional wrestling, WWE in particular. Um,
No.
and I was kind of like losing interest there. But when Kofi Mania happened, that reminded me why I continue to watch this sport and why I continue to
Yep.
watch pro wrestling. It's because of moments like that. This is a guy who could have gotten released many times through his
Yeah.
Yep.
upcoming, and he toughed it out. He had this gimmick where he was supposed to be Jamaican, and that didn't work out because he
You're
forgot.
just faking.
Yeah, he forgot to put on the accent and got called out on it. Um, and then it was just a slow uphill battle for him. He had moments in the Royal Rumble, and then all of a sudden, 2019 hits, and we got Kofi Mania, and just a really good moment for him. And yeah, I was so proud of Kofi in that moment. And you mentioned with like MVP in the back and all those guys just shedding a tear for Kofi. It was just an all around one of the greatest emotional wins in professional wrestling history.
Absolutely.
There was two parts about it. every now and again, the WWE tell us who their champions are. These are the people you're going to cheer. These are the people who are going to be the big players in your lives. And every now and again, everybody turns around and says, "No, we don't want that guy. We want this guy." And it was one of those
Yep.
beautiful times where everybody choose, "No, we want this guy. This is the guy we love." And it was also a perfect example of a wrestler getting given a chance and taking it. Just
Oh yeah.
he was as you said, with the Mustafa Ali injury, Kofi came in, was given an inch, and he took a mile. And just through sheer work, sheer effort, and work ethic and determination, he said, "I've got a chance here. I'm just going to go out and do my absolute all." And he literally, gladiator style, he won the crowd. And they just couldn't deny it. It's just every now and again you get someone come through and they're just undeniable. And it was Kofi's time. It was very similar to the Yes movement because it was everybody chose Daniel Bryan. He was just undeniable eventually.
Yep.
And Kofi just became undeniable. And I know it was an important win for like people of ethnicity as well. I don't think there'd been a lot of black champions before that,
Yep.
if any. I'm not 100%
At least
on that.
WWE champion, I don't believe.
No, I know we had Ron Simmons
Yeah.
in WCW and Booker
Yep.
T. But yeah, WWE wise, I don't think it was. So I know it was also a massively important thing as far as that went as well. But yeah, it was just a wonderful time of the people, the WWE universe as they call them, choosing who they wanted. And a wonderful time where the WWE actually listened and said, "Okay, we'll give you this guy. We're going to make it hard for you, and we're going to make you stress out about it, but we'll give it to you."
Yeah. Okay, agree. Love it.
And then Brock Lesnar was born.
God.
So the next one I have is El Torito versus Hornswoggle. No, I'm joking. So,
Great match, by the way. We see is amazing. Like you see an interviews with Hornswoggle, he's like, "I am the most proud of that match. It was so good."
So the next one I'm going with is not really at all a storyline. It's more of a actual feud, and I was gonna go with the Yes movement, but we just mentioned that a little bit. So I'm gonna go with CM Punk versus the WWE. This took over professional wrestling for years. I mean, you talk about a guy who for 10 years got his name chanted. And a lot of times when people leave the company, the crowd eventually forgets about him. They did not forget about CM Punk ever, especially whenever they went to Chicago. And obviously, CM Punk said a whole lot of things about WWE over those 10 years. And then eventually, the big turn in this rivalry that he had with WWE when he came back to professional wrestling and joined AEW. Obviously, didn't go to plan for him. Because at the end of the day, CM Punk has a big mouth and he's going to say what he wants to say. And I'm going to be open and honest. And when all this was going on and CM Punk was out of WWE talking a whole bunch of stuff, as a kid, I couldn't stand CM Punk. I went years not liking CM Punk because of it. And I jumped the bandwagon eventually, but I went years just trashing CM Punk because I was like, okay, this is a company that gave you an opportunity, and now you're just it's like as I got older, I understood because the guy got fired on his wedding day. I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
And that's perfect reason to, as kids say, crash out. Um, and you know all the stuff that he said, but to take it to the extent that he did at some points, I felt that he could have just kept his mouth shut a little bit. It wasn't until and even when he joined AEW, I was still on the fence. I was like, I don't know. This is not gonna this is not going to evolve well for the IWC. It wasn't until 2023 when the rumors came around of him being backstage. Actually, I believe this is 2022 when he was backstage and was just hanging around and apologized to the Miz. And I'm like, okay, maybe this guy's turning a leaf. And I'm somebody who's obviously been watching wrestling for a long time. So when somebody returns, it's like you'll get a small pop from me, but it won't be crazy. Survivor Series 2023. I was at a friend's house watching this pay-per-view. His his girlfriend at the time was sleeping. And CM Punk came out and I woke up that entire apartment because I was like, what the hell? They completely fooled all of us when they put up the little logo at the bottom corner, be like, okay, that's it.
Yep.
Then his music hit, and I was like, holy shit. I absolutely lost it. And I'm like, okay, he seems like he's turned a leaf now, and I'm jumping back on the Punk bandwagon. But I did go years not liking him, and CM Punk versus the WWE is just an all-time classic rivalry.
I just got goosebumps when you just talked about the Survivor Series return. I literally got goosebumps again. Oh, what a moment that was. You know, when you're in the office and your boss and one of your co-workers starts having an argument and you feel really awkward and you're like, I agree with what you're saying, but I wish you'd stop saying it. And I kind of want to leave the room, but I can't. The post pipe bomb promos between CM Punk and Triple H evoke those feelings in me. I was like, I want to watch it, but I don't want to watch it because I'm feeling quite awkward and I feel you might get in trouble. And I wasn't the best for you. But it was great television. I really love where they are now. I can watch all that back so much more fondly now to know where they are now. To hear Punk and Triple H talk about each other now is just, it's quite like wonderfully heartwarming to see how they've both evolved as people over time. I think CM Punk is home in the WWE, and he hasn't, by the way, hasn't been a disappointment at all since his return. So some people come back and they are a bit of a disappointment. I'm going to do a video later on. I need to apologize for a person who's come back and I said was going to be a disappointment, and Aleister Black has not been at all. But yeah, the pipe bomb promo to me is my favorite promo of all time. It was just groundbreaking, and that whole Summer Punk again, they found a way to ruin it.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was epic television at the time. Brilliant for him to be back as well. And I'm just really happy where they are now. And it makes me feel so much better about the times back then.
Yeah, man, totally. This is so funny to hear you say that, Josh, because this is why I love doing this, because getting to hear other people's opinions and go, oh, I wasn't the only one who thought that. So I'm about to let you into a massive secret. I'm a huge hypocrite, and I don't care because you know what? I was the same. I had a lot of bad blood towards CM Punk, and I don't actually know if it stemmed from a place of intellect or actually knowing the truth or the facts. All I knew there was this guy out there who was bashing a company that I adored and a sport that I adored. Um, and it just left a sour taste in my mouth. Now, obviously, yes, as I've grown up more and done more research and learned about it, I can totally understand where that came from in Punk's own head. If there's no way, I would have been the same. But for a long period of time, I despised CM Punk. I wanted nothing to do with him. If you'd asked me back in 2017, 18, 19, oh, do you want to see CM Punk back in WWE? My answer was hell no. I couldn't kill less about seeing that man back. Yeah.
Yep.
I did not. I didn't care. And then when he came to AEW, I was like, I wasn't even really shocked when he came to AEW. I was like, it probably is just to stick it to WWE. Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, we talked about the CM Punk MJF stuff. And whilst it was, it's funny in what Stu said because of what has happened and what's transpired since then. I can look back on everything he does now so much more fondly because I
Yeah,
can look back at that now and be like, that was one of the greatest feuds. Not as we said, not just in AEW and wrestling. But at the time, I was also probably like, as much as I appreciated the matches, I didn't care about Punk. And then when Punk and everything happened, All In 2023, when the fallout of that happened, I was like, oh, of course, here we go, typical Punk once again. And then we move on to Survivor Series. I honestly, if you had asked me, I didn't think he was going to be there. Because I just didn't believe they would have done it. I also couldn't care about him being there. I was like, I don't care, don't want to see him. I tell you, as soon as Cult of Personality hit, I screamed like a little freaking bitch. I was jumping on my chair. I I was like, I completely take back everything I've ever said about you. This is amazing. And the fact is, since then, he has been nothing but amazing since coming back. And getting to see him interact and how he is a completely changed man from when he left. And I totally understand and think he's justified in the bitterness he had when you get to see it, especially now as like a grown adult. Like I would be the exact same.
yeah.
But just getting to see it now and just see him be happy makes me happy. And it's just the things that happen, like from the Colt Cabana podcast to the pipe bomb
Oh,
to everything the AEW run that led to that moment at Survivor Series and now plus like since then. I mean, it's easily, as you said, I love the spin you put on it of not being I guess, an actual feud, a storyline feud, but it's so true. Like CM Punk versus the WWE is a 10 plus year just TV show drama that for once actually did have a happy ending in the feuds that we're talking about.
it did.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go ahead, Stu. Do your next one.
Okay. Now, I was gonna go for the greatest story that never was, but that's not really our remit. So I'm gonna go for the greatest story that ever was, and you have to go Bloodline.
Mm.
You just have to. It again. It took the WWE out of a really sticky time. Now I know eventually it overplayed its hand a little bit, as in Roman Reigns wins, lol, due to help from several members of the Bloodlines. But I don't know about you guys, but since the Bloodlines finished, I feel like there's a hole in our lives
Yep.
that we're trying to fill with Solo Sokoa a little bit. But that original Bloodline with Sammy and Jay and Jimmy and Roman, and then obviously when Solo came into it as well, you'll never get that again. I don't think. Again, I think it's just one of those things that kind of transcended it. It turned Roman Reigns into a phenomenon. Like he's a mainstream star. It was one of the things that pushed Netflix, or not Netflix, sorry, WWE into the mainstream. I think it's one of the things that made them get the attention from Netflix and has allowed that to happen was the whole Bloodline storyline and the making of Roman Reigns. And obviously, the part that Paul Heyman played in it is so important. But obviously, they had their foil with Cody Rhodes. It was every bad faction needs the good guy, and Cody ended up being the guy. But the chemistry between the people of the bloodline, Sami Zayn being involved, which in no way, shape, or form should ever have worked, but it did. I think the whole thing was just perfect. I thought it had gone on too long until it ended, and then I realized I missed
Yeah,
it. But yeah, to me, the bloodline is one of the greatest storylines in the past 10 years, easy.
absolutely. It's one of them. I was. It's funny. I'm glad you did go for it because it was pretty much on my list of it's going be subbed in if someone else went for one of my other ones because you couldn't not say the bloodline, or at least the last couple of years of it going into the stuff with Cody, because it just, as you said, it almost once again transcended wrestling because Roman Reigns. I mean, look at him now. Like he's done I've done quite a few movies. He's going to be the Street Fighter movie. I'm sure that isn't going to be the last. Um, what the Bloodline's done for everyone involved. Like look at Jay.
Mm,
Like it's just raised everyone's profile. And as much as we might want to clown on the new Bloodline, but in some of the characters, I'm looking at JC Mateo specifically. But look what it's given us. It's given us a clear future WWE champion in Jacob Fatu. It's
absolutely.
given us this now amazing character of Solo Sikoa, who, as you said beforehand, at first we were like, oh no, I love what Solo's now doing. I think he's found his niche,
I
and it's
agree.
perfect. It's like going on. When did the Bloodline start? Roman Reigns, 2020. We're
Something like
going
that.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going on almost 5 years, and it's still going, and it's still a mainstay in the company, and it will go down easily. Like, I mean, the Bloodline alone, I think, goes down as a faction easily in the Hall of Fame one day.
100%.
So, it, it alone, it will easily go down with the greatest just storylines, rivalries with multiple people from Kevin Owens to Sami Zayn to Cody Rhodes to Drew McIntyre. Like the list goes on as well of the rivalries that they had with the top people in that company, and still Roman was Roman Reigns on top. And that just doesn't happen nowadays. So yeah, I can't say much more.
I love the love on this podcast for Solo Sikoa. I love it.
I love so I say it all the time in my videos. I adore that man. Like it was funny because I was like everyone else. Sorry, not to turn this into a solo podcast, but I'm like I agreed. Like I never was the biggest fan beforehand. I was kind of like, okay. But now he's shown that like you can clearly see that he's Jimmy and Jay's little brother, where he's his like humor and his like comedic timing. Like I said it with Josh yesterday. Him on Friday, whilst the storyline of the arrest stuff was so stupid, Solo Sokoa was amazing when he was getting
It
arrested.
was when he was swinging kicks at Adam Pearce as he was being
Yeah,
escorted out.
he's so good. But yeah, Bloodline easily up there is one of the best storylines in wrestling.
Yeah. 2022, which was like peak Bloodline, um, where we had like Sami Zayn added to the fray and everything. Personally, was one of the best years that I've had, and this storyline was a part of that. This was it sounds so crazy. I was in my senior year, 2022 of high school, and this was
That's
just an
disgusting
all
to hear,
That's
by
around.
the
horrible. How dare you?
This was just an all around great year. My girlfriend at the time got hooked on wrestling during the whole bloodline thing. She was hooked on that. Um, and it was just an all around amazing storytelling by all of them. And in a time where the rest of WWE was in a pretty dark place, the bloodline was always there to just pick it up. And like everybody wanted to tune into SmackDown. Everybody just wanted to tune into SmackDown because of the bloodline, especially if Roman Reigns was there. They wanted to tune in because you never know what could happen. And it was just an all around great time. And even when I like see like flashbacks from 2022, it just brings back nostalgia. And I know it was like 3 years ago, but it brings back nostalgia just because of how good of a time personally it was for me. And yeah, that is honestly one of my favorite years of Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really nice. You don't think of it like that. You know, you have a favorite song because it reminds you of a favorite time of your life. Never ever equate that to feuds and stuff. But if you think back, it does kind of,
Yeah.
there's a really good point, Josh. It does kind of, certain feuds remind you of certain times, or certain storylines remind you of certain times, whether they're good or bad. And yeah, that's really nice. Oh,
I love
Brew, your last one.
that. The last one. Well, seeing as his last one, I'll give a couple of shout outs then to some other ones I absolutely loved before I come into my final one. So I said Cody Roman's up there, Seth Roman's got to be in there, Drew Punk, AJ Cena, which I was so close to putting in here. And a couple of older ones, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, Eddie Guerrero and JBL, randomly enough. I loved that feud as a child. And Angle and Benoit, eek, kind of tug the neck. I know, but it was a great feud. We won't talk about anything else. um, but the one I'm going to go for is a 20 plus year just amount of feuds and friendships. And it goes between, technically, we could say four people, but it's the just I don't even know what you want to say, just the career feud between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, or Kevin
Oh,
Steen and El Generico, because I,
They're the
what
same
can you
person?
say? Oh my God, yeah, sorry, folks.
what? Kevin
So
Steen was El Generico?
Whoops. Sorry to break all your hearts. But El Grande Americano is not Chad Gable or Ludwig Kaiser. Let's just get
It's almost.
that. I,
Now there's rumors that it's Ludwig Kaiser. Like, come on, make up your mind.
Yeah, come
oh, no,
on,
exactly.
people.
Ah, I
I
guess.
mean, we were all clutching at straws saying it was Chad Gable, but now we've all of a sudden changed our mind and we're saying it's Ludwig Kaiser.
It's
I've seen the
people
historic footage.
people are fickle. We wrestling fans are fickle. That's what I've learned from Danny Bryan.
Unbelievable. How
Um,
can a Mexican man be German? Come on.
exactly. um, I forgot what I was you saying now. Yes, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I mean, what I don't know what else you can say about these two. Like they are blood brothers and blood like and just with a blood feud. The first match I seen between the two of them was me getting back into wrestling. I pulled this out of the memory bank. If you haven't seen it, and it was a shout out to anyone, go to Battleground 2016, a really random pay-per-view. It was that really random one that had the definitely WrestleMania Worthy Shield triple threat on it for the WWE Championship. I don't know why that was on that card. But
What?
easily match of the night for me was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, and that was the first time I had, since coming back to wrestling, had seen them properly. Now I had watched WrestleMania 32 that year and the Intercontinental ladder match that Zack Ryder won. They were incredible in that, but I didn't really know too much about them as rivals until Battleground, and it's still one of my favorite matches of all time. And having now gone back and watched some of their stuff previously, so from NXT, then going right the way back to Ring of Honor, PWG, the guys, it's so weird for the love that they have for each other. Equally, I think, clearly hate each other in the ring because some of the stuff they've done to each other is mental.
Oh my God.
Insane. And then just from there going forward, it's what I said, a weird tangle of love, friendship, and hatred all at once. Like we kick forward and we go to 2017 coming into 2018, early 2018, when Kevin managed to convince Sammy to become over to the dark side. That was that one where Sammy saved Kevin from Shane McMahon jumping off the Hell in a Cell.
Thank
Um,
God.
I know, and and then the two of them from there, and then they've kind of split off again eventually, and then to come back in and meet once again during, and it kind of links into what we just talked about previously. It links into the Bloodline. Kevin Owens' biggest one of his biggest rivalries was against the Bloodline, which Sami Zayn was involved in, and everything from there, which then eventually led until just a few months ago. Their match Elimination Chamber is one of the craziest matches I've seen in WWE. It was so good, and to put a somber note on it, but maybe also a slightly happy one. If this is to be it for Kevin Owens, I really freaking hope it's not. If it is, what a hell of a match and what a hell of a person to go out on. Um, I love the two of them. The love I have for both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I can't express enough, and I think it's one of the greatest rivalries in wrestling.
Yeah. Um, so if like God forbid that's Kevin Owens' last match, I 100% agree with you. What a match to go out on, and I was there for that match, and even just in the
Wow.
arena, you could feel the emotion in that match, and it was absolutely insane. Like there was a lady next to me in the crowd who couldn't believe what she was there by herself. This woman was in her like 40s and she couldn't believe what the hell these two were doing to each other. And It was an absolute cinematic match, a very brutal match. Um, yeah, just an all around great rivalry with these two.
Agreed. I am sad at the thought that there might not be a next chapter.
Yeah.
Like it, I won't rest until I see Sami Zayn superplex Kevin Owens. It is just, and again, when we were talking back to Kane and Undertaker, it's one of those where every time we cross paths or they cross paths, it's not boring. You're not like, oh, here we go again with this. You know, like we got to Lyra Valkyria, Bailey, and Becky Lynch at the moment, and I'm already like, how long are we going to keep doing this for?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, every time they cross paths, I'm like, yes, here we go again. Come on. What level of crazy are they going to visit upon each other this time? Um, it is, and you can tell they tell it so passionately when they're together, whether they're tag partners at the time or whether they're feuding at the time. They're so passionate when they're telling stories together. It it just works every single time, and plus they're two very very talented guys as well, wrestling, promo wise, everything wise. They mesh so well. Talk about chemistry. These two have it in spades, and I hate the thought that we're not going to get a next or final chapter to it. As you guys say, perfect end. If it is the end, I just don't want it to be the end.
No, same.
100% agree. Kevin Owens is somebody that I looked up to, especially when I was doing pro wrestling. He was somebody I looked up to. I have a picture of me and him on my wall at the moment. And that was in 2022, which again was
Show
a
up.
great year for me because I got to meet one of my favorite wrestlers. And it really sucks, like you said, if this is the end for KO. And in my mind, I before this neck injury, I was like, man, this guy could win so many more world titles. And
Yeah.
the thought that
Yeah.
he might not be able to really, really sucks.
I
Agreed.
know.
He's too good to it for it to be over for him.
Yeah. Well, that
What a
is
somber note.
our. Sorry, Stu.
No, that was it. I was just saying, what a somber note to
I
end
know.
on.
Yeah, well, that is our list of greatest storylines in professional wrestling. Let us know what you guys think, and if we missed anything. I had a few more, but like I didn't want this podcast to be like 4 hours long because the three of us could talk about wrestling until like Slammiversary starts.
Yeah.
So we had to limit ourselves a little bit, but let us know what you guys think, and what storylines you guys had in mind that we didn't mention, or if we did mention the storylines you had in mind, your thoughts on it, if you agree or disagree with any points that we made. Um, yeah, these podcasts just come out of nowhere. It's just ideas we have. Shout out to Rue for coming up with an idea to do a podcast today. So yeah, if you guys want more of these, then let me know. Let us know that you enjoy it, and we will definitely brainstorm some more ideas for podcasts like these, because these are a lot of fun and they're much more laid back. But yeah, make sure you guys to subscribe, like, and comment, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Subscribe to the Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. Go follow Stu World Order on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I got it right this time. And go follow Ruin Wrestling on
Hey!
TikTok. They always got some great content over there, very entertaining stuff. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.